Welcome to our Facebook Live. Tonight's topic is our introduction to parasites. And so I'm going to be going over what a parasite is, symptoms of parasitic infection, how you might be contracting parasites, and then what you can do to help resolve them. So they're definitely a hot topic, and we're seeing more and more come up because we know what to look for and how to handle it. So that's really good news. And I want to start off with, I was going to start off with talking about what a parasite is, but I'll go ahead and introduce myself first. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Joanne Doe, and I'm a practitioner here at Natural Healing Center. We're located in Newport Beach, and we take clients in person and virtually, so we can work with anyone, anywhere. And we do a special type of muscle testing called nutrition response testing, and it's really great because it allows us to identify areas of stress on the body, and then more importantly, or just as importantly, what might be contributing to that stress. So it could potentially be parasites, bacteria, virus, yeast, food sensitivities, heavy metal toxicity, chemical toxicity, radiation, potentially scars, and damaged nerve tissue is another one. And we have other ones that we can take a look at too, but those are some of the main ones that we see. And then we also work with clients using food as medicine to help rebalance the body. And we have the help of really great supplements that we use that might range from herbal to homeopathic to stem cells to ones with carbon technology, and all tailoring things in a way that's going to work best for the individual client. So moving on to tonight's topic. So what is a parasite? A parasite is essentially an organism that lives off another organism. So for the purposes of our talk today, we are the host and our parasites are living off of us. And oftentimes parasites reside in our gut. And so essentially when we are eating, the parasite is eating too. And so even if we're doing a really good job with our foods, we won't be getting all the nutrients from them because the parasites are essentially stealing the nutrients because they're eating our food too. And our food is our fuel, it's our energy. So not only are parasites, robbing us of our nutrients, but they're also essentially robbing us of our energy. So that's not good. And just like parasites, and vice versa, we eat and then we break down our food, we absorb the nutrients from them, and then we poop out the waste products. And essentially, that's what parasites are doing too inside of us. So they are stealing our nutrients and then they are defecating. And their waste products, their biotoxins, are really toxic to our bodies. So they can contain things like bacteria, virus, fungus, heavy metals, chemicals. They can cause all sorts of digestive issues and other health issues. Not only do the biotoxins or the waste products they release, not only are they harmful, but if you have debris from dead parasites, because they do multiply fairly quickly, then those are also toxic to the body as well. And one thing to note too is that we all have parasites, just like we do bacteria, virus, yeast. You often hear people say, feed the good bacteria, not the bad bacteria, because we do have both. And what needs to happen is that we need to maintain balance in the body, because when we have an overgrowth of parasites, or when we have an overgrowth of bacteria or yeast or whatever, that's when it causes stress on the body, and then we see and experience symptoms accordingly. So what are some of the symptoms of parasitic infection? So since parasites, a lot of times they take up residence in our gut, we see all sorts of digestive issues. So this could be gas, bloating, nausea, could be vomiting. It could also be abdominal pain, like an upset stomach, stomach pain, tenderness, cramps. We also may see changes in our bowel movements, so it can go from being really constipated to having diarrhea and loose stools. We also might see worms, parasites, mucus, eggs also passing through our stool. And then because parasites are essentially feeding off of our food supply, we may notice like intense sweet cravings because parasites feed off sugary and starchy foods, that we're constantly hungry or we have an increased appetite. But the opposite can be true too, where you have a loss of appetite, maybe from, feeling nauseous and having the stomach cramps and not wanting to eat. In addition to that, you might notice, rapid weight loss or even weight gain because parasites, again, stealing our nutrients. We may have nutritional deficiencies, we may be dehydrated, we may experience a fever. And when with parasites, even though they primarily reside in the gut, they don't necessarily always stay there. So they can move all throughout the body. They can make our way into our lungs, and so you might have coughing fits, you might have a lesion on your lung. They might make their way to our heart, kind of like how your dog might have heartworm. I mean, that can happen with us as well. And they can also make their way up to your brain and really have an effect on your level of energy. So you could be tired, exhausted. You might experience mood swings, depression. You might have joint pain, muscle pain, body aches. Parasites can really affect your sleep. They're more active at night, and so you might have insomnia, difficulty sleeping, nightmares, night sweats. You might be grinding your teeth. We also see symptoms of parasitic infection through the skin, so like skin issues like eczema, hives, rosacea, skin tags can be indicative of parasitic infection. And then another symptom that's common is vaginal infections or itching. Same thing with the anus, anal itching. And so one thing to note about symptoms of parasites is that there tends to be an uptick of them during the new and full moon. Their parasites are more active during this time, and so it's a really good practice to do a parasite cleanse or be on a parasite protocol a few days leading up to a full or new moon, during that full new moon, and then also the days following as well. So I'll go into some of the protocols that we use here for parasites. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about where these parasites are coming from. And a lot of times when we think of parasites, we might think of like international travel and living or visiting in areas that are known to have parasites that might not have they might have like poor sanitation and infrastructure and things like that. So because it is possible that you can actually inhale parasites. So but it's not just the case that parasites are in those areas. They're literally everywhere. They're in the U.S., they're in first world countries. They might be in places that you wouldn't expect them to be. You can get them so you can get them by inhaling them, but you can also eat them too. So if you are eating any kind of raw or rare meat like steak or sushi, that is potential source of parasites. You can also get them in your fruits and veggies too. If you can drink them, so say you're drinking contaminated water, that's another way that you can get parasites. Or if you're swimming in, say, a lake or maybe even the ocean, they can enter through any of your orifices, which is just like an opening in your body. So think your eyes, your nose, your ears, or any other orifice that they can get into. There's also another type of parasite that if you're walking barefoot on the ground can actually go through your foot, and that's another way that you can contract parasites. And then also your pets. So just like we can get parasites, our animals can get parasites. So if you are handling at kitty litter, or you're picking up dog poop, or you have your dogs, rubbing their butts on the carpet, or they climb into the bed and they do the same thing. They maybe lay on your pillow. Those are opportunities for parasites to get into your system. And poor hygiene as well as a weakened immune system can make you more susceptible. So you want to be mindful of good hygiene practices, washing your hands, and also working on building a strong immune system through foods, sleep, exercise, and other lifestyle habits. So, what do you do if you get a parasitic infection or you think you might have one? Well, you might think to yourself, okay, I should get tested for that. And one common or standard means of testing parasites is through stool samples. But unfortunately, parasites can often be missed when it comes to using stool samples. Let's say, for example, you submit a sample of your stool that's like, say, this big, and the technician takes out like a little piece of it to put underneath the microscope to see if there's any parasites or any eggs, and there's none. But let's say with that piece of stool that you submitted that it wasn't in the piece that he took, but it was like actually over here. So they don't look at the whole sample basically, and so it can be missed because of that. And also, since parasites don't necessarily stay in the digestive tract, they can move again to your lungs, they can move to your eyes. Sometimes people will experience a floater, or to your brain, and if that's the case, then that fecal test is going to be negative, because it's not going to show for parasites in your stool. So, at Natural Healing Center, we practice nutrition response testing, and it's really accurate and straightforward in testing for parasites and also handling them. So what we do is we handle them primarily with herbal supplements. So two to start with, okay? Many times you may need more than that, but there's two specifically for the parasites, and one is going to be used to pull them off of the intestinal walls and either paralyze them or kill them. And then what you need to do is follow it up with another supplement called a binder, and it's going to bind to that debris and support you in eliminating it through your bowels, essentially. I've had two clients today text me or tell me in person that they saw parasites in their stool. Obviously, both of them are doing a parasite cleanse, and I get really excited when I hear that news because, they're essentially eliminating those toxins from their body that have kept them from feeling well. One of my clients who saw parasites in her stool, she also noticed less acne. The other client that I'm working with, been suffering for a bit longer and is more of a complicated case, but she has had parasites coming out of her stool for months now. And what would work really well in that case, which I'll get to in just a little bit, is like an enema. So let me see here. I just want to make sure I give you all the information. Other supplements that would work well would be potentially like minerals. So because parasites are using up your nutrients for themselves, we want to make sure that you are getting what you need to feel nourished and take care of yourself. So we look at mineral supplements. We also might look at a digestive enzyme. It's really just how your body tests and what your body chooses to prioritize. That's the really great thing about nutrition response testing, is that it allows us to prioritize what the body wants to heal first. A lot of times that ends up being digestion being number one, making sure that's in place so that you can break down your food, that you can absorb the nutrients, that the supplements and the herbs can work to their best benefit. And I want to go back to talking about those two supplements. So the first one being, what essentially kills parasites, and the second one being the binder that binds everything together and takes it out of you. So it's really important that you have both, because let's say you just take the one that is intended to kill parasites, okay, then you are like annihilating all these parasites in you, and now you have all these like dead bodies, and you don't want them hanging out in there, because the debris of those dead bodies is also toxic, very toxic, and it can continue to recirculate. So that's why you got to have the binder, and you got to get everything bound together so you can eliminate it through your stool. So the binder really helps with detoxifying the body. And again, if you have a lot of parasites, then an enema can be really helpful at kind of detoxing quicker. And we definitely want to support you and walk you through that process, because we don't want it to be too much on the body. We want to make sure that you're going to be able to handle it. So drainage, that's really important. Being able to eliminate, you want to be having at least one bowel movement a day. It's kind of like your body is a sink, right? And if you turn on the faucet, you want the water to be going down the drain. But if your drains are clogged, all your used up water isn't going anywhere, it's just staying inside you. So that's why you got to make sure those pathways are clear, so that we can not only like kill the parasites, we can get them out of you. All right, and okay, so enema did that. Okay, so our food choices are really important when dealing with parasites. Basically, we're the host, and so we want to make sure that we're like a really bad host so that they don't want to stay. So with your foods, you want to avoid those sugary and starchy foods that parasites like to feed on, and you want to focus on non-starchy green veggies, good healthy fats, olive oil, avocado, and then high quality sources of protein, which are going to keep your body nourished and essentially help to starve out those parasites. Moving our bodies, getting exercise, that really helps with parasitic like cleansing, because essentially it's activating your lymphatic system and it's supporting the drainage of those toxins. So you can run, dance, swim, you can go for a walk, any kind of movement would be helpful. And then another thing is just making sure that you're drinking plenty of water so that you're able to flush out toxins and have healthy bowel movements. So again, as I always say, go for half your body weight in ounces of water a day. We've had so many clients get a lot of relief and a lot of success after doing a parasite cleanse, by improving their overall health through the supplements, but honestly mostly with the foods, they see their symptoms subside. So that's different for everyone, but it might manifest as less pain, improved digestion, healthy bowel movements, increased mental clarity, better sleep, better moods, the list goes on. So if you are thinking to yourself, of the symptoms that I noted, maybe having one or more of those, and the potential for it to be caused by a parasitic infection or some other stress that might be going on in the body. Again, I said, we check for food sensitivities, metal toxicity, chemical toxicity. All these things are way more common than you think, and we get just used to how our body is, maybe always having a little headache, always feeling bloated, always having a low mood, and just thinking like that's how it is. But there is something causing that, and what we can do is work with you to determine what that might be, and work to address it in a really natural, safe, and effective way so that you can feel your very best. and it's the 22nd of December today. So for the next 9 days, we have a special promotion going on. You know, the cost of initial consultation is typically $299. It's $100 off from between now and the end of the month. And even if you purchase it now, you can always come, next year, just depending on how your schedule, if you're super busy. But it's a really good deal, and also we do a lot during that initial consultation. So it's 1 day of testing and getting to know you, and then it's a second day of going over the results of those tests and recommendations. So the results will indicate any areas of the body that might be stressed, the cause of that stress, maybe parasites, maybe something else, and then also foods you'll want to start to reduce or avoid, because we do test for food sensitivities. And with that, they may change with time, but your body sometimes needs a break from certain foods, especially because if they cause inflammation and swelling. And then also any supplements that would aid in your healing. And we'll go over with you what working together looks like, because we want to be able to see you through the process and support you along the way. So working with you, coaching with you on your foods, thinking up meal, breakfast, snack ideas, working through any challenges, whether that's holidays, whether it's birthdays, vacations, travel, and then using the muscle testing as a tool to monitor your progress and make sure that you're getting better. So you have a lot of support throughout the program, and that's really how our clients get those wins. Because if it were just that one-time appointment and I sent you away with some recommendations and never saw you again, I don't think you get as much benefit, or I know that you wouldn't get as much benefit as working together throughout a program. So if you're interested, you can leave a message or give us a call here at Natural Healing Center. If you found this information helpful and you have someone in mind that you think it might benefit, please do share this video. It may inspire someone else to seek out support for whatever health condition that they have going on. And as always, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. Next week's topic, I think the date is the 29th, if I'm not mistaken, but it's Thursday at 5:30. I'm going to be on here again, Facebook Live at 5:30, and the topic is going to be New Year's intention setting. So I'm really excited about that one. We're going to workshop it a little bit. So we'll be thinking about what we want to invite in for the new year, also what we're ready to kind of let go and make our peace with. And we're going to be approaching it from, a holistic viewpoint. So going to be taking a look at, our physical body and our physical health and any changes that we want to bring about, but also our mental health, spiritual health, careers, relationship. All those are factors in our well-being, and so we definitely want to make sure that we're paying attention to all those, because you could be eating really well and you could be working out every day, but if you are like constantly stressed, you hate your job, you are in a toxic relationship, then you're not going to be doing well, or at least as well as you could be. So I encourage you to kind of give that some thought over the next week, what you want to how you want to see yourself living and being and having in the new year, and also what it is that's no longer serving you that you're ready to let go of. And we can bring that all together, write a few things down, and set our intentions next Thursday. And I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks again.